This week on TORC Unleashed, the Off-Road Championship heads to Buchanan, Michigan to battle at the iconic racetrack that is REDBUD. Then, we go beyond the track to follow returning champions Pro 4 driver Ricky Johnson and Pro 2 driver Bryce Menzies as they prepare for another heart-stopping weekend at REDBUD. Later, the folks at BF Goodrich give us a first look at the science and techniques in creating the most advanced tires in off-road racing. And finally, as the green flag flies, the world's fastest off-road machines take to the stage of REDBUD for 2 intense days of racing. All this and more, next on TORC Unleashed.
East of Chicago, just outside the quiet little town of Buchanan, Michigan, a legendary racetrack exists.
REDBUD!
REDBUD. Motocross legends such as Jeremy McGrath, Bob Hanna, and James Stewart have all captured the checkered flag here. But instead of bikes and ATVs, we're gonna put something a little bigger, a little faster, and a whole lot meaner onto the dirt track of REDBUD. I'm Kelly Snyder, and this here is Short Course Off-Road Racing. Welcome to another episode of TORC Unleashed.
The track, they changed the track a little bit in certain areas. Coming to REDBUD, I mean, what I thought of was motocross. I've watched it on TV, and it was really cool to come, and they built an awesome track. And last year we came and it rained out, and it didn't turn out too good. So we came this year, and the weather's been great. The fans are awesome. Everything's turning out really good, and they get to see a different aspect. Usually they see two-wheel dirt bikes, and now we have brought our four-wheel truck. So, you know, I think it's a different vibe for them, and it's really cool. Door-to-door action, banging, and I'm digging it. The track's really fun, real tight, technical, big jumps. We're doing almost 200 feet off this step up, so it's a really cool place to come.
Yeah, pretty much check everything that could loosen up, so you don't have a problem with anything falling off.
I've been racing off-road series for probably about 4 years now. One day, we bought a off-road race truck and decided, well, we're gonna see what we can do with this. Went to Crandon, raced it once, we were hooked ever since.
Before the pros gear up for their first shot at podium glory, the amateurs head to the line for their own chance at victory. With strict limitations and minimal budgets, these die-hard drivers and race teams are the very backbone of off-road racing.
We race in the Formula 4x4 class. It's a four-wheel drive, full-size Bronco, or SUV type frame. Well, pretty much everybody, they have their, 8-hour-a-day job at least, You go work all day long, and then they go work on the truck at night or on the weekend when they have spare time. So it's low budget, work on it, and then you drive to the track, and you're still tired from driving to the track, and then you go and get in the race truck and go and buzz around the track a few times.
Classics. It is the Classics division. It is American sedan cars and SUVs. We started out in a lower class, with like a stock car, stock truck class. That is probably the entry level. Classics will be the next step up. A little bit more expense on your bigger motor, bigger shock stuff, but not as expensive as the pros. It is affordable on a 40-hour-a-week job.
Well, my dream since I've been 8 years old is to race at the professional level, and I've been watching guys like Chad Horde and Johnny Greaves for my whole life, and I want to be like them. So, it's just instinct when I got my driver's license at 16 years old that I needed to get in a truck and race, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And this is a Traxxas TORC Series stock truck class. It's an entry-level class, basically a stock truck. Put a roll cage in it and go race.
Most of us in our division, a few of them are, small business owners and whatnot, but most of us are just average Joes. We go to work, we put our cars together, We race on the weekends.
It's just in my blood. I think I was born with a steering wheel in my hand. I don't know. I just love doing it, you know.
Next on TORC Unleashed, we follow motocross legend and driver Ricky Johnson as he prepares for battle. Can the returning Pro 4 champion clinch another 2 victories in REDBUD? Then, we go behind the scenes to find out why BF Goodrich is always on the top of the box. Later, the track is set and the drivers are ready. We'll highlight a weekend of racing that's not to be missed. Coming up on TORC Unleashed. TORC Unleashed is brought to you by Amsoil, Cooper Tires, and by Oakley.
Welcome back to TORC Unleashed. I'm Kelly Snyder. For over 25 years, one rider in particular has made a name for himself here at REDBUD. 7-time AMA Pro Motocross champ and 2-time off-road champ. This Pro 4 defending champ has not only made a name for himself here at this track on 2 wheels, but also on 4.
You know, REDBUD holds a special place in my heart. My birthday falls on July 6th. So the Motocross National has always been 4th of July weekend. So my birthday was either here or right before the race or right after the race. So I spent 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and now I'm back here at 47. I was in a NASCAR drivers meeting at one point, and they kicked all the crew chiefs out, they kicked everybody out, and they said, okay guys, we're entertainers. You can think what you want, you can talk all this big ego crap and all this stuff, but we're here to entertain people. If we're not entertaining people, they're gonna find another source of entertainment. You have to entertain everybody. That's the one good thing about this. The sports, it's a more casual, laid back, one ticket gets you everywhere. People say, oh, I wanna come to the race, can you get me a pass? Go buy a $10 ticket, you can go anywhere you want. And that's the cool thing about it. So the fans get an experience here that they can't get in motocross anymore, they can't get in NASCAR, they can't get in IndyCar, but they can get it here at the truck races. I remember when I was racing motorcycles, I started looking and watching NASCAR. This is back in the very, very early 80s, and I'm thinking, God, look, those guys are kind of in their 50s. Because when you're 20, you think 50, you're next to dying. You know, now I'm 47, I'm like, God, I hope not. When I was younger, I watched these guys and I thought, if I could transition from motocross into car racing, I could extend my career and I can do what I love, racing against people. And then this short course truck racing will evolve. And it's like, this is exactly what I love doing. So for me, it was a natural evolution. With age comes a cage. I can't ride like I used to. I'm not in shape like I used to be, but I do keep myself fit for this. So I feel like I'm the best racer that I've ever been at the age of 47. How would another driver describe me as a racer? I think as a fair racer, but one that's not afraid to get dirty. Just because a guy hits you doesn't mean he doesn't like you. He's just trying to beat you. So I would hope that the drivers think that I'm fair, but we've also tussled in other times, so it's a matter of when you get them. You know, they might, maybe before a race, they say, I'm a good guy. After the race, they might say, he's a big jerk. So, hey, as long as I'm doing good, I'm treating my sponsors right and the fans right, then they can love me or hate me.
Johnson's teammate, 24-year-old and returning Pro 2 champion Bryce Menzies, gears up for another weekend of racing.
I race a Pro 2 Unlimited in the Traxxas TORC series. What I drive is a Pro 2, which is 2-wheel drive, has about 900 horsepower, only spins the back tires, and compared to the 4-wheel drive, which is all 4 tires are spinning at all times, which is, you know, you huck that thing in and you throw it in the corners and it sticks, where these things you gotta kind of finesse and find a lot of traction, and it's kind of more of a ballet with Pro 2 and a UFC match with Pro 4 is what they say sometimes. I got involved in racing short course with my dad. Had a friend that raced in the desert, and I was riding dirt bikes and racing dirt bikes, and I got hurt a lot and broke my shoulder and ended up really bad. So my dad wanted to put me in something a little safer with a cage. So the guy built me a single buggy, and I went out and won my first race, and my dad kind of went nuts and bought a semi, and then we went pro light racing, and about 3 years ago now I got this Pro 2, and I've been in this class for about 3 years now. Last year was our first year in the Traxxas TORC series, and we came out with the Pro 2-wheel drive, and we didn't start out the season too good, but towards the end we finished off really good, and we came away with the championship. And this year we came into it and we got the #1 plate, so we kind of want to you know, keep that up there. It also puts a lot of pressure on having the #1 plate. Everyone's after you, trying to, you know, take away that #1. So it's a lot of pressure, but it also is fun to show up at tracks with the #1 so everybody knows that you're the champion from last year. Ricky Johnson is my teammate. He's an awesome competitor. I mean, we brought him on the team last year with us and Red Bull and Amsoil and BFG and everybody. And having him as a teammate is huge. He knows so much knowledge, and he was a Pro 2 champ. Yeah, with the #1 plate, Ricky definitely, you know, he's had it before. He knows all the pressures and what's coming. And, you know, this weekend we came in practice and I struggled really bad and I was getting frustrated. And he kind of sat me down inside the trailer and talked to me and said, you know, you guys keep your cool. It's the second race of the season. We just got to make it through, get on the podium. And, you know, he's been there before, so it's really helpful for him to, you know, to just give me words of advice to, you know, help me when I'm struggling and trying to have so much pressure on your shoulders, because we have this #1 plate and we got to withhold it. So, you know, he's really good at doing that, and he's an awesome teammate, and I wouldn't want anybody else.
Next on TORC Unleashed, we get the inside scoop on the latest technology from the tire experts over at BF Goodrich. Then, the pros take to the track of REDBUD for rounds 3 and 4 of the Traxxas TORC series. Can returning champions Johnson and Menzies capture the wins for a second weekend? Or does their competition have another idea? We'll find out next on TORC Unleashed. As the fans of REDBUD prepare themselves for a full-throttled weekend of racing, the drivers and their teams prep for their shot at podium glory. But when it comes to preparation, nobody's more ready than these guys, the tire experts over at BF Goodrich.
BF Goodrich started off-road racing about 35 years ago. We specialize in both Pro 2-wheel drive and Pro 4-wheel drive with a specialized race tire, and we also have DOT tires that people run on their everyday vehicles that run in the sportsman classes as well as the Pro Light class. We take the technology that we learn from being out here at the racetrack and incorporate that into our everyday DOT tires that you buy off the shelves. So when racers come to the racetracks, they usually already have used tires on their rims. They'll bring their tires in, we'll dismount them on these machines. We have a new tire that we'll put on the machines. Now, off-road racing, you don't just throw a tire on and off. You actually kind of build a tire. They have beadlock rims. So as you see the guys, they have to pull off all the beadlocks, take the tires off. In the unlimited classes, some of the guys will actually run a liner on the inside of the tire. So they got to take those in and out, check them, make sure that everything's good. So they'll mount the tires here, then they roll them down over there to the guys that are grooving the tires to get more grip, get more side bite out on the track to give that truck the best performance possible depending on the track condition.
We start with this comes out of the mold just like this, and then depending upon what the traction is out there on the track, what type of surfaces, the teams decide what size blade they want, what depth they want, and what pattern they want.
So after all the work's done at the track, tire shows up like this, ends up like this, or something similar to this, depending on track conditions and driver preferences. And this is what goes out on the track. Ultimately, we take all the technology we learned from this type of a tire, goes on to, this is a BF Goodrich mud terrain tire that people put on their everyday trucks that they drive out on the street or out in the mud on their own personal vehicles. And this is an example of what a DOT tire mud terrain looks like after we've custom grooved it for the track condition that we have out there today. So now we're ready to go race.
Next on Torque Unleashed. The green flag flies as the world's fastest off-road machines invade REDBUD. Torque Unleashed is brought to you by Traxxas, Ram, BF Goodrich, and Mastercraft.
Welcome back to Torque Unleashed. I'm Kelly Snyder. So the stage is set and the drivers are ready. All that's left to say is, gentlemen, start your engines.
Saturday, round 3, the Traxxas Torque Championship. The fastest off-road machines in the world gather at Buchanan, Michigan to battle on the prestigious track that is REDBUD. The Pro Lights. As the green flag flies, returning champ Andrew Cadell took the early lead. Traxxas teammates Luke Johnson and Keegan Kincaid got together right after the competition yellow, allowing 16-year-old CJ Greaves to move into second. At the finish line, returning champion Andrew Cadell grabs the win, followed by CJ Greaves in second, and Luke Johnson takes third. The Pro 2s. At the beginning of the race, driver Jeff Kincaid had the early lead, but engine difficulties quickly allowed Steve Barlow to move up front. Barlow's lead was short-lived as Chad Horde muscled past him for first. Meanwhile, Rob McCachran inched his way through the pack into second. During the mandatory restart, McCachran challenged leader Horde for first. McCachran passes Horde for the lead. At the checkered flag, Rob McCachran takes the win, followed by Chad Horde in second and CJ Greaves in third. The Pro 4s. As the green flag flies, Traxxas driver Mike Jenkins grabs the early lead. On the first lap, Jenkins and Douglas came together, allowing third-place driver Johnny Greaves to take the lead. Greaves continued leading the pack, with a determined Ricky Johnson closing in. Then Greaves makes a mistake, allowing Johnson to pass and take the lead. In the final 2 laps, Greaves and Johnson battle for the win. At the finish line, returning champion Ricky Johnson takes the win. He's followed by Johnny Greaves in second and Scott Douglas in third. Sunday, round 4. The Pro Lights. Randy Eller grabs the whole shot in the early lead, followed by Brad Lovell and Keegan Kincaid. Kincaid's teammate Luke Johnson would soon pass into third, with CJ Greaves trailing behind in fourth. Eller makes a mistake, allowing Lovell to take the lead. During the mandatory restart, Lovell, Johnson, Greaves, and Kincaid would have to fight off a new competitor, last year's champion Andrew Cadell. Greaves charges ahead and moves into second, while Cadell stalks the 16-year-old driver for third. At the finish line, Brad Lovell takes the win, followed by CJ Greaves in second and Andrew Cadell in third. The Pro 2s. Steve Barlow pulls the whole shot and takes the early lead. Chad Horde, CJ Greaves, and returning champ Bryce Menzies follow behind. After a few laps, Barlow makes a mistake, allowing Horde to jump into the lead. Meanwhile, Menzies continues moving through the pack and begins challenging Horde for the lead. Menzies makes a move and passes Horde for first. Back in third, CJ Greaves makes a slight miscalculation on the big downhill, allowing Rob McCachran to move past the 16-year-old driver. At the checkered flag, returning champion Bryce Menzies takes the win, followed by Chad Horde in second and Rob McCachran takes third. The Pro 4s. Right from the start, Mark Jenkins begins dominating the race, with a hungry Adrian Cheney hot on his tail. Meanwhile, motocross legend Ricky Johnson falls back into third. Cheney inches closer and closer to Jenkins, and finally passes the Traxxas driver for first. Johnson moves into the hunt and passes Jenkins for second. After the mandatory restart, Johnson threatens Cheney's lead inside every turn. Cheney begins to pull away, but then suddenly, Cheney loses control and rolls his truck on the downhill. Johnson moves into first. Cheney miraculously rolls his vehicle back onto four wheels and tears off back onto the track. At the finish line, returning champ Ricky Johnson takes the win, followed by Adrian Cheney in second and Scott Douglas in third.
Well, that about wraps it up for us here at REDBUD. For TORC Unleashed, I'm Kelly Snyder. See you guys next time at the track.